Hello from Kampala in Uganda. Thank you so much for joining me here today as we spend a little bit of time digging into the Bible together. So this year I am reading a Bible reading plan that takes me through this whole book from January to December. And every day I read a little bit of the Old Testament, a little bit of the New Testament, as well as a psalm or a proverb. But also this year in my plan there's a little devotional section which is written by Nicky Gumbel, the creator of the Alpha course and pastor at Holy Trinity Brompton Church in the UK. A few days ago, I read a sentence in that devotional section that really stayed with me, so I thought I would share it with you. He said, "The fact that God takes what we consider to be a long time does not mean that he is not at work." Now, this was in reference to the time when Moses clambered his way up a mountain and received the 10 Commandments from God. He was gone for 40 days and 40 nights. And at that time, the Israelites created a gold calf and started to worship it instead of God. As Nicky Gumbel said in that same devotional, the initial cause of their idolatry was a lack of patience. They did not wait for God's timing. Now, 40 days is a pretty long time, right? It's a month and a half. The Israelites were camping at the bottom of this mountain, and I'm sure that they would be wondering what had happened to Moses. I think I would be wondering what had happened to Moses. Has he abandoned us? Is he dead on that mountain? We wouldn't know. It would be really easy to start questioning if you were doing the right thing, if you were in the right place. Now, I wonder if you've ever asked yourself questions a little bit like that. I felt like God said I should be here doing this thing, but absolutely nothing is happening. Should I give up? Should I move on? Am I in the wrong place? Is God even still with me right now? We can be such impatient people, right? We expect God to work according to our own timescales, to do what he has said he is going to do instantly. We live in this instant generation, don't we? Everything is instant. Everything is right now. Even here, sometimes living in Uganda, I'll turn on my computer and click to load a website and get frustrated if it doesn't load quite as quickly as the speeds I was used to in the UK. We expect everything right away. We want it instantly. We don't want to wait. But waiting is so often a part of God's plan for us. And I know I've talked about similar topics to this before because it comes up over and over and over again in the Bible. Find me a character in the Bible who didn't have to do a little bit of waiting, and I will be surprised. And it seems to be the same for our own lives as well. It's in the waiting that we learn to trust that God will do what he says, even if it doesn't look like it right away. It's in the waiting that we can grow and develop into more Christ-like people. It's in the waiting that we learn more about God, that we learn who he is, that we learn more about our relationship with him. Sometimes having something immediately is not beneficial to us. I always wonder if, David, if he had become king immediately after he had been anointed by Samuel, how would he have done as king? Would he have been such a wise and worshipful leader? Or did his time remaining as a shepherd for a little bit and then playing music for King Saul and being a leader in the army, did that teach him the lessons that he needed to learn in order to rule well? I think so. I think that waiting time was essential. And actually, Moses himself had to do a little bit of waiting in this same story of the Israelites and their gold calf. In Exodus chapter 24, verses 15 and 16, we read that when Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, And the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. Can you imagine sitting on a mountain, waiting to hear God speak for 6 full days? Maybe it's just me, but if I don't hear God speaking in 6 minutes, then I'm like leaving my quiet time. I'm thinking, well, clearly God doesn't have anything to say to me today. I've waited for like 5 minutes here. This is enough. 6 days of waiting. That's a long time, right? But God, before Moses even went up on that mountain, God had spoken to him, and he had told him to come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandments I have written for their instruction. God had told Moses that that's what he would do, and Moses believed in God. He believed that if God had said it, it would happen, even if he did have to wait days to see it. And so he did wait days to see it. But the interesting thing is that when God told Moses, I'm going to speak to you on that mountain, I'm going to give you these instructions for the people of Israel, the elders of the people of Israel were actually with Moses in that moment. They had just seen the glory of God, these 70 elders. They had just eaten in God's presence. They knew, just as Moses did, what God had promised that he was going to do. But instead of encouraging the Israelites to hold fast, to keep waiting because God was doing something, they instead joined the people in their idolatrous worship of this gold calf. Even though the Bible tells us that they can literally see the glory of the Lord looking like a consuming fire on top of the mountain, you would think that that would have reminded them of what they had seen and what they had heard. So that's just a huge challenge for me. I think it's a huge challenge for all of us. When God has said that he will do something, we can choose if we will respond like Moses, waiting and trusting that God will do what he has said. Or we can be like the Israelites and say, do you know what? I have waited long enough. Now I'm going to turn away and I'm going to just do my own thing. Because clearly you're not in this anymore, God. Waiting is not easy. And sometimes our wait can last for years, not only days. Just look at Abraham waiting for Isaac to be born. He had to wait for decades. Holding fast to God's promise for a long time is hard, but it is worth it. Use your wait to grow into the fullness of who God has created you to be. And then you will be ready the moment that that promise comes to fruition. And remember, even if it seems like God is taking a long time, even if it seems like nothing is happening, it doesn't mean that God is not working. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's always great to have this time to explore the Bible a little bit with you. I hope that this has encouraged you, especially if you are finding yourself in that time of waiting right now. Be patient, because God is moving and something amazing may be about to happen. Thank you so much. I'll have a new video again on Monday, new videos every Monday, every Friday. So I will see you then.